Okay, this happens. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today it was requested that I talk about plants that are easy to care for and that are kind of low maintenance to take care of in terms of watering and lighting situations. So I do want to talk about lighting and watering just a little bit today. I don't want to make a full video about lighting and watering, but I do think that those two things are very important to know and understand because a lot of people don't know, especially about lighting. So one of the things that I actually do is with lighting, I use on my iPhone, I use the Google Maps app and or any Maps app that has a compass. And so what I do is within my home, whatever room I'm in, I go on the compass and I check where the window is facing. So if the window's a north facing window, east, south, or west, that is very important to know for your plants because every single plant has different lighting needs, and that will kind of determine where in your home you're going to put the plant and where it's going to thrive the most. Now, in terms of watering, there are some plants that require more watering than others. For example, a cactus is only going to want to be watered, depending where you are geographically, it will only want to be watered maybe once a month, maybe more than that, maybe every 2 months, so on and so forth. So really depending on the plant, you're going to want to make sure you do your research and pay attention to its watering needs. Now there are some plants like the peace lily that do give you signs, which I love. So if you observe your plants and get to know your plants, you will know when exactly it needs to be watered. One of the signs, for example, like the peace lily, like I mentioned, I know that I need to water it when I notice that the leaves are kind of drooping down a bit more than usual. And that's when I will thoroughly water it, and then I won't water it after that. I will just wait until the leaves are drooping again. Now, in terms of the plants that I have that I've noticed are low maintenance and they're very, very easy to care for, one I already mentioned is my peace lily. I'm going to insert a photo of my peace lily here just because I don't want to move her. She's really big right now. She's grown a lot, and just grabbing her might be a lot. It's also really sunny right now, so she's getting her sunshine. I don't want to disturb her, but I'm going to insert a picture of her right here. I would say this is a low maintenance plant just because, like I said, she's thrived a lot. I haven't had to do much. She already has 4 flowers right now, and I've already repotted her, and she's done really well in the new pot and has grown very, very much. Now, in terms of lighting, it does do best when you put it in like a south-facing window. The window that I have in my room, thankfully, is a south-facing window, and so I kind of place my plants depending on whether they need to be closer to the sunlight or further away. These plants, for example, that are on my shelf, these are plants that some of them do well in direct light. However, I noticed that for some of them they started browning because it was just too much light, so I decided to put it on my bookshelf so it'll still get light, it's just a bit more further away, so it's like less concentrated light. But the peace lily does really, really well in the bright light, and I noticed that that's what's making it flower a lot more. I do see peace lilies like in malls sometimes or in shopping centers, and I noticed that when they don't have a lot of light, they don't tend to have a lot of flowers. The flowers don't bloom as often as they would when they're in more direct sunlight. So depending on whether you want to see more flowers or if you're okay with kind of having it in lower light situations is totally up to you. But if you do want to see it have a lot of flowers, then I definitely recommend having it in more direct light. And of course, like I mentioned, if you notice that the leaves are getting sunburnt or anything, just bring it back a little bit further from the window and then observe it and then just move on from there. Now, the second plant that I want to mention is, I'm going to say, my favorite type of succulent, and it is a zebra succulent. Again, I'm going to insert a photo of it here because she's sitting right at my window right now. I love this one. It is technically a low light succulent, so you can have it like in a lower light situation. However, of course, like any other plant, it's going to thrive a lot more in the sunlight. That being said, this succulent that I have, so the zebra plant that I actually have, is one that I was bringing back to life because it was my sister's, and then she just wasn't taking care of it, so then I kind of took it in, started taking care of it more, and like it has grown so much since placing it right next to the window and then not watering as often. Like I said, it is a succulent, so you don't want to overwater it. Overwatering succulents is one of the most common reasons why they end up dying, and I actually went through that myself. I learned that the hard way. I actually killed one of my succulents, and it was really sad. It was one of my bigger ones, and it just did not make it. I tried to like revive it and make it better, and it just didn't work. So I learned the hard way not to overwater and just kind of just let it be. I also have like a moisture meter, which I think, yeah, I have right here. So this is my moisture meter. It just, you put it in the soil and it'll tell you whether the soil is moist or if it's too wet or too dry. And I wasn't really paying attention, although I had read about how to check whether it needs to be watered or not. I guess I just forgot that the moisture meter said that it was still moist, and I still watered it anyways. I don't know, something happened, but I overwatered it and it died, and that's gonna happen with a lot of your plants if you don't understand what the needs are of them. But yeah, so succulent, you don't have to water it a lot. Literally, like, I think I water it once a month probably. And same goes with any of the other succulents. The only reason why I mentioned that succulent that I have is because it can handle lower light situations, so you can have it further away from a window as long as it's getting some sort of sunlight during the day. And then of course, I will mention a cactus just because same thing. A cactus, it does need to be in direct sunlight. You got to think about where cactuses are in like their natural environment. They are in desert areas, so it will require more sunlight. So if you have a south-facing window and you have space to place a cactus there, go by all means place a cactus there. It's so easy to take care of. You barely have to water it. And yeah, it's really, although they are kind of slow growers, it's really rewarding seeing them grow as well. And then moving on to my bookshelf here, one of the plants that I'm gonna grab is, like I mentioned in the Get to Know Me, is my spider plant. This one, for a while, I was kind of worried about because the tips were browning, and some of them are still a little bit brown. What I actually did was I kind of trimmed the pieces that were too brown just to kind of hope that it would thrive a bit more, and it actually has been. It has grown a lot more from the moment that I got it. But yeah, this one you treat like a succulent. You don't have to water it a lot, and you also want to make sure that the soil completely dries out before you water it again. The next one that I'm gonna do is the snake plant. This one, I got a little baby one. I'm not too happy about this one, I'm not gonna lie. It's supposed to be like easy to take care of, but as you can see, I have like brown tips everywhere, and that is my fault. This was one of the first plants that I got, and so because of that, I was definitely overwatering. I didn't have a moisture meter. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just watering it thinking, you know what, it's like a regular plant, it needs to be watered, not knowing that this is also supposed to be treated like a succulent. So I highly, highly recommend, like I said, doing your research on the plant that you're buying, and also doing the research on its watering and how often you need to water. So the brown tips was my own fault. I overwatered it. But this is also a plant that can do very well in lower light situations. So for example, when I was getting more plants, of course you can see that it's kind of like crazy. So this was one of the plants that I had further back in the bookshelf, and I had a plant like kind of in front of it, and it was still doing well. It wasn't dying or anything. And honestly, in the middle, I don't know, I don't want to drop any soil, but in the middle you can see that a new leaf is growing as well. So I know it's still doing well, it's still thriving, it's not dying, thank God, but Yeah, like I said, my overwatering on this plant definitely affected it and caused the browning of the tips. On this one I'm not going to cut it off just because the rest of it's still healthy and it's just like a slightly bit brown. But this is also a very easy plant to take care of, and the way that they look like when they're adults, I'm going to post a photo right here, they are so beautiful. I love them, and so that's why I got the baby one. I want to see it grow and to an adult, but hopefully I don't kill this one and don't get to see that. But this is also another one. This was one that I got for my birthday, and I wanted this one for so long as well. It was one of my wish list plants. It's called a ZZ plant. I know there's a more scientific name to it, but I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to try. I know it is a ZZ plant, and you can find it online as a ZZ plant. I love this one. I have not watered this one since I've gotten it, and I noticed that it's growing still and the leaves are still looking really green. And this is another one that you don't have to water very often. Again, it's kind of like a succulent. You don't have to water it very often. And I'm really scared. I'm really scared to water, honestly, because I don't want the tips to brown and I don't want the leaves to start dying off. But this one, because I don't have to water often, I'm okay, I would say. I'll probably give it a couple more weeks until I try and water it a little bit. But yeah, very easy plant to take care of, can handle lower light situations, so you don't have to have it super close to a window, and that's why I kind of had it like in the corner, and it's still doing very well. It does need a lot more space because it's growing a lot taller than it was before, so I'm gonna have to probably place it somewhere else in my room, but for right now it's still doing well. The last plant that I'm probably going to talk about today, this one right here. Oh no. Okay, this happens. It's a brown plant. This one, I'm gonna be honest, I overwatered this one too. It was in a plastic pot, and that is why I repotted it in a terracotta pot. There's nothing wrong with plastic pots. The only thing that I noticed is that with some of the plants that I have, the soil was not drying enough, because I guess in my room, it wasn't, the temperature of my room wasn't good enough for the soil to dry out very quickly. And so with this one, because it was in a plastic pot, I thought I'm just gonna water it and then like leave it alone. But the soil just was not drying, so the soil was kept very, very, very moist and wet for a long time, and because of that I had this happen, and I saw it coming. I already saw it yellowing in the beginning, so I knew it was dying off, which is really sad. But I do have new little plants in the middle, like the little leaves, so I know it's doing well now in this new pot, which I'm very grateful for. But this is also very easy to take care of plant, I've noticed, and this is one of those plants that you can actually propagate and give to other people. Propagation is something that I'm very new to, and I need to learn and I need to experiment with, so I'm not going to talk about it. But you can gift this plant to people by giving them stems of them, which is great. That is all I have for you guys today. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to watch more. Thank you so much. Adiosito.